What is good? What is good? What is good, beautiful people? Y'all know who I be, the good doc, Dr. Mike TV. Back again, once again, with a more real video for that ass today. Sincerely hope you guys are blessed. If you are, glad to see you guys here. Make sure you like, subscribe, and do all the things you need to do to make sure you're up to date on all the things the good doc has in store for you. Now, I was watching YouTube the other day, and I was watching this vlogger. He's a foreign guy. He lives in the Philippines as well, as far as I know. And in his video, he was advertising or advocating the buy local mentality. And I was like, you know what? I commend you on that, because the buy local mentality is more or less a lost art or a lost philosophy amongst Filipino people, to the extent that I would go out on a limb and say that a lot of them have the buy foreign mentality. Now, many of y'all are asked, Doc, what are you talking about buy foreign mentality? Glad you asked. There is no prestige, there is no accolades, there is no distinction, there is nothing that separates you from everybody else when you choose to buy products that are made in the Philippines. But when you walk around with that Starbucks cup in your hand, that Victoria's Secret Chanel bag, whatever it may be, that is a statement that is being made by you to other Filipino people that you made it, that you got it, and that you, at the very least, emulate or imitate the life of somebody who has money. And I'm not saying that you don't have money. I'm just saying that for the most part, y'all just faking it till y'all start to make it. And most of y'all never will make it. But I want to use Starbucks as an example. And I want you guys to feel me on this one. The Davao City region, the Mindanao region, is really known for its coffee. Like, they grow coffee beans in the Mindanao region. It's one of their dominant resources as far as I can remember, or at least it was back in the day. And there were a lot of coffee shops, a lot of local coffee shops that were open until Starbucks opened. Okay, Starbucks showed up and pushed a lot of the local businesses out the way. Now, there are still a couple of limited local coffee shops that are still hanging on there by a thin thread, but they're not too many. And I believe it has a lot to do with this buy foreign mentality that has captivated the Filipino people. Now, a lot of people will start saying, Doc, you don't know what you talk about. Filipinos still buy local. Of course they do. They're going to support their own when the time is right. But for the most part, they want that prestige, man. I don't give a fuck who you are. You want to separate yourself from the pack. And in the Philippines, there is no better way to separate yourself from the pack than taking pictures of your little Starbucks cup with your name on it and posting it on Instagram. Y'all, a lot of my foreign guys, a lot of my foreign people will be like, that's so retarded, or that's so mundane, that's so, it's nothing. But in the Philippines, it's just about everything. Walking around with, and I mean, they will keep that Starbucks cup, man. They will hold on to it. It's like a souvenir. It's like a look at me, this is where I once went type of thing. And there are people who can afford Starbucks. I'm not saying that Filipinos can afford Starbucks. It's just the prestige of Starbucks that has captivated the country, and the buy foreign mentality that has captivated the country, that makes Filipino people desire, want, and need to separate themselves from the pack. Now, I understand that that mentality is probably everywhere in the world, but when I speak of it from a Filipino standpoint, I kind of feel like they go above and beyond. We're talking about maxing out credit cards to get the things that they need to get in order to separate themselves from the pack. My young lady had a couple of friends that she may not be friends with anymore. I try not to keep up with that nonsense. And actually, no, I know she's not friends with them anymore because she tells me everything. But she had a group of friends. They all used to work at the same place, had the same job, and they all applied for credit cards at the exact same time. Some of them were able to get 2 credit cards. So imagine your credit limit is 30,000 pesos. You mean to tell somebody that they can buy something now and not have to pay for it until later? You can only imagine the things that were probably running through a lot of these people's minds. So they ended up getting 2 of them. They had a credit limit of about 60K. I don't even know how the second one came about. The first one came about because they were offered it as a part of a package deal or something because they had a job. So they were offered the credit cards. And the second one, I think they sought it out. Next thing you know, they're conversating, talking about their 60,000 pesos in debt. Basically, they've maxed out both of their credit cards. And you wonder, what the hell did you buy? And they literally listed every single thing that they bought. All of it was materialistic shit for the most part. Some things, groceries and food. But for the most part, it was, look at this new Chanel bag that I got, or whatever it is that you buy, what you ladies buy. I don't know. But I started laughing and I looked at my girl and I said, shit, I said, you could do that if you want to, but you gonna be SOL because I ain't helping you out. And she understood that. And I told her from Jump Street, you gotta be careful with them credit cards, man. And I think the buy foreign mentality kind of takes away from the logical standpoint of how you choose to spend as a consumer in an economy, because you're told by the credit card company, go ahead and buy that now. Go ahead, you can take care of that. Don't worry about paying for it now. You can just pay for it later. They're not going to tell you about the interest rates and all of that stuff if you don't make the payments on time, and if you pay the minimum payment, how much it's going to cost you, or how long it's going to take for you to pay off your balance if all you do is pay the minimum. They don't talk to you about this stuff. And I kind of feel like the buy foreign mentality and the uneducation of most people, not just Filipino people, but most people in general about credit cards, is really effing up a lot of people and putting them in debt. I laugh because I know exactly how it feels to be broke. Trust me, the doc knows every bit of how it feels to be broke. I've been there and I never want to go back. So when people approach me about, they got this new bag coming out, or they got this new cologne coming out, or they got this new something coming out, and it costs like $100, $150, I'm like, yeah, man, you tell me how you like it. You understand? That's just my thought process. But a lot of people in the Philippines, or a lot of people in general, have to be the first to have it. I gotta end on this note because this one is the craziest one ever. And a lot of you guys know this if you've ever been in the Philippines. If there's one thing that is uber expensive in the Philippines, 2 things. The rental spaces can be very expensive depending on where you choose to live. And the gadgets, phones, electronics, these things can be very, very expensive if you choose to buy them in the Philippines. Now, you have those certain Filipino people who have to be the first person to get the newest iPhone. Now, the newest iPhone is a status symbol in the Philippines. Having an iPhone, period, is a status symbol in the Philippines. I mean, it puts you up there. It puts you in the top tier just because you have the fucking phone. So when I look at people going out of their way to buy this phone, even though the phone may be 1,500 when it comes out here in the US, you can expect to pay at least an additional 500 on top of that. So people are spending 90,000 pesos. Well, at the time, I think it was the iPhone 11 or some shit like that that came out. People were paying 95,000 pesos, which it was equivalent to just shy of about $2,000. So they're willing to pay this absurd amount of money just to be the first to have it, just to be the first in the market. And I'm not going to lie, Apple is smart. From a business standpoint, I have to applaud them, because what do? Whenever a new phone enters the market, or they start to see that the sales are dwindling, they bring the actual price down to the price in which they were going to sell it to you motherfuckers in the first place. So imagine that. First to the market, first iPhone to the country, first month or two, people are buying it up at this absurd amount of money. And then when they realize that sales are starting to slow down, or the Samsung comes out with a new phone or something, and they start to see the sales even out between them and their competition, they actually bring the price down to the price at which they were going to sell it to you in the first place. It's amazing how the economy works. It's amazing how the Philippine economy works. It's amazing how the world works. And I like to think that I haven't figured it all out, but I like to think that for the most part, from a marketing standpoint, since that is what I got my degree, and I've kind of got a glimpse of things, from the back end and behind the scenes and stuff like that. So, the buy foreign mentality, inclusive and all of that stuff, Filipinos have just they've taken it to the max, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. And to be honest with you, I think that it's gonna keep those that aspire to have it in a broke situation, should they choose to utilize credit cards and have to have it when they don't have the money to actually buy it. It's gonna keep the rich people. Well, I can't say it's gonna keep the rich rich because that don't make no sense. But it's damn sure gonna keep the poor people poor. You understand? And I want y'all to feel me on this shit because I'm an advocate for this, man. I want you guys to educate yourselves on this shit. Doc ain't perfect, man. I spent money on stupid stuff before. Then I took it back the next day and got my refund for it. But the case in point is this, man. When you utilize the buy foreign mentality in the Philippines, Filipino people, please be careful. I understand the allure that it gives you, like you're really rich or that you really got it like that, when you're able to show people that you have the next best thing or the coolest thing, or you spent so much money on a price. And price tags mean everything to Filipino people. They love to tell you how much something costs. It ain't the fact that you got it. They love to tell you how much they spent for it too. I wanted to note that because that's funny. They said I spent 20,000 on this. I spent 15,000 on that. That's just for the ones that choose to brag. We do have some very humbled rich people. Very, very humbled rich people. Shout out to my boy BGC Mike. Very, very humbled rich people. Part of the 1%ers, man. And I fucks with them. I got plenty of Filipino friends who have money, and I can learn a lot from them. And they've taught me a lot too. A lot of them don't even spend their own money. And I know I'm babbling, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it. But with that being said, the good doc, he is officially out. At least nako. Paalam, which means I'm going now. Oh, bye-bye. This has been an educational moment by the good doc. Just love you guys. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Peace.